We all have grown up hearing and saying the slogan Sarvadharmasambhāva, or equal respect for all religions. It may surprise you to know that it is not a part of the Hindu tradition. In reality, it is a recent platitude created by Mohandas Gandhi. It cannot be said with a straight face that equal respect for all religions really sums up traditional Hindu pluralism. The exact meaning of the word dharma here is irrelevant because, as Mohandas Gandhi's life shows, what he effectively meant was equal respect for Christianity, Islam, and Hinduism. But that is problematic. Let's see how. The sayings of prophets can be logically at odds with each other at times. When two prophets or religious figures give differing opinions on the same question, we can still say that both were not really talking about the same thing, because their respective cultural circumstances were different. Some religious figures taught non-violence and non-killing, including strict vegetarianism, while others ordered their followers to kill and led by example, and sanctioned animal butchery. The question arises, what is so special about prophethood if it is so determined by cultural differences? If the one and eternal God had one plan for the entire humanity and wanted to teach his one true religion, why is he sending a Mahavir teaching absolute non-violence to one place and a Muhammad teaching war to another place? It is clear that there is something logically inconsistent with the very notion of the prophet as an agent sent by the one true God. For example, Christians believe Jesus was God's son, while Muslims believe he was simply God's messenger. If one is correct, the other is incorrect. Add to this cocktail their common foe, paganism, which is represented in India by idolatrous Hinduism. As a result, the common truth shared by all three is unthinkable. In Indian, that is, Hindu traditions, as Swami Vivekananda said, each soul is potentially divine. The state of moksha, as taught by the rishis of Upanishads, was always presented as something that anyone could attain, not as something that God had only given to this or that chosen prophet. It may be granted that Muslims may also have spiritual aspirations, but that doesn't whitewash Islam's violent teachings. By the same perverse logic, if Adolf Hitler had claimed divine inspiration, then the Nazi atrocities could never be condemned. Let us drop this fantasy that all religions are equally true. We may say that the spiritual aspirations of human beings are equally true, regardless of the culture they happen to be born into. But the idea that as a result, all paths ultimately lead to the same goal is simply illogical and idiotic. So why does the Indian state still propagate this foolish notion of Sarvadharmasambhāva? A one-word answer would be secularism. What secularism does is that it hides the glaring inconsistencies of the Indian state in its dealing with different religions. Indian society has a rich diversity of religions, and secularism is a mirage that everyone is expected to chase. In its classical sense, secularism meant a separation between the church and the state. These days, in popular culture, it effectively means a separation between religion, especially Hindu dharma, and people. But there is no one single understanding of the meaning of secular when it comes to the relationship of the state with religion. Secularism is almost never defined in political discourse. Canadian legal philosopher Ian Tyrrell Benson identified 4 types of secular states. Neutral secular: the state is openly non-religious and must not support religion in any way. Positive secular: the state does not affirm religious beliefs of any particular religion, but may create conditions favorable to religions generally. Negative secular: the state is not competent in matters involving religion, but must not act so as to inhibit religious manifestations that do not threaten the common good. And finally, inclusive secular: the state must not be run or directed by a particular religion, but must act so as to include the widest involvement of different faith groups, including non-religious. There is no consensus on which type of secularism is suited to the Indian environment, neutral or positive or negative or inclusive. But it can be said with certainty that the Indian state practices politically convenient secularism. For example, the slaughter of goats on Eid remains unhampered, but the Indian judiciary routinely prohibits Pashu Bali in Hindu temples. Indian political culture and the state propounds the bogus notion of Sarvadharmasambhāva simply to hide its anti-Hindu orientation. Because the Indian state is unaware of its civilizational roots, it lumps in Hinduism or Sanatan Dharma with Islam and Christianity. Great debaters like Yajnavalkya or Shankara would not be proud to see modern Hindus fall for anti-intellectual soundbites like equal respect for all religions. Very Gandhian, but logically completely unsustainable.